Keep it, Majesty, if you want. It's already here in my head.
On one hearing only?
Genius, jealousy, and madness all wrapped up in perfect music. Amadeus turned Mozart's brilliance and Salieri's envy into one of cinema's greatest masterpieces. F. Murray Abraham became Antonio Salieri, living every emotion as his own. On screen, he burns with jealousy at Mozart's talent. Off-screen, Abraham quietly battled the same feeling. Tom Hulce, who played Mozart, was full of energy and fun. He laughed easily, joked with everyone, and instantly clicked with Meg Tilly, who was first cast as Mozart's wife. They were young, they were carefree, and they were close. Abraham stood outside that circle, older and more reserved. He watched their friendship from a distance and felt like the odd one out. That emotion slipped straight into the movie. Every glare, every stiff smile between the two men came from something real. Abraham later admitted that he truly felt pushed aside, and it stung. The camera caught that sting. It turned into the rivalry that drives the film. You can almost see the air tighten when they share a scene together. The jealousy didn't need acting, it was already there. And maybe that's why Amadeus still feels so alive. It's not just a story about envy, it's a story about two men who felt it for real, even if only for a moment. The result was lightning in a bottle, and the world could feel the crackle. Tom Hulce was never the first choice. Mark Hamill had already played Mozart on Broadway and thought the movie would be his next step. He knew the role inside and out, but the director, Milos Forman, only saw Luke Skywalker. He worried the audience would too, so Hamill never got a chance to audition. Instead, the part went to a quieter, lesser-known actor who looked like he'd been born for the role. And then fate played another card. Meg Tilly, the actress playing Mozart's wife, injured her leg just before filming. The production stopped instantly. They needed a replacement in days, not weeks. Elizabeth Berridge stepped in. No big audition, no chemistry test, no safety net. But from the moment she started, she fit. Her nervousness made her performance even more real. She looked and sounded like a woman barely keeping up with the chaos around her, and that's exactly what Constance was. Abraham watched the changes happen and felt even more apart. Everybody else seemed swept up in accidents and miracles. He stood still, serious and alone. That mix of control and isolation became part of his Salieri. The film fed on it.
I never played an instrument in my life, but that was one of the most difficult things, was learning to play a lot of different music. I learned to play pieces that were never even filmed because Milos was so demanding.
Once filming began, Abraham changed completely. Crew members said he rarely smiled. He spoke softly and spent breaks alone. It wasn't an act. He carried the sadness of his character wherever he went. Some people avoided talking to him because it felt like he wasn't really there. Only Salieri was. That kind of focus gave the role its power. When he stares at Mozart with quiet hatred, it feels personal. Abraham later said it was hard to step out of that mindset, as if envy had taken root somewhere deep inside of him. He made Salieri more than a villain. He turned him into a man who knows he'll never be great, but still worships greatness in someone else. When Abraham won the Oscar, everybody knew it was deserved. The performance was more than just skill. He gave everything to that role and walked away changed.
He never played piano, but he was spending like 3-4 hours a day for several months practicing the pieces which he had to play.
Tom couldn't play piano before Amadeus, but he knew pretending wouldn't be enough, so he practiced for hours every single day until his hands moved exactly like a real musician's. He studied the rhythm, the pauses, and how Mozart might have felt while playing. By the time the cameras rolled, he looked like someone born at the keys. Later, music professors watched the film frame by frame and were stunned. Every finger landed on the right key. Every motion matched the soundtrack. Even the experts said it looked real enough to fool Mozart himself. Oh, that laugh everyone remembers? The high, strange giggle that fills the movie? Tom invented that. Historians describe Mozart's real laugh as wild and contagious, so he made his version sharp and childlike. But months later, when they needed him to record extra sound, he couldn't reach the same pitch. His voice gave out. So he poured himself a drink, loosened up, and tried again. Only after a few glasses of whiskey did the laugh return, the one that would make cinema history.
You folks shot at the Estates Theater. You filmed the Don Giovanni sequence there, and that, for those who don't know, that is the actual spot where Mozart premiered that work in the 1700s.
Milos Forman wanted everything to feel real. To shoot the opera scenes, he used the actual Estates Theater in Prague, where Mozart once performed Don Giovanni. But instead of safe electric lights, the crew filled the old wooden theater with real fire. Candles and open flames lit the actors' faces. The walls, curtains, and wigs were all flammable. One mistake could have destroyed everything. Naturally, everybody on set was nervous, but when the lights dimmed and the flames flickered, the result was magic. The gold glow of the candles gave the scenes warmth that no modern light could copy. The danger was worth it and made the movie look alive. Still, the cast paid for that beauty. Heavy costumes trapped the heat. Extras fainted from the temperature and the smoke. Some joked that filming felt like performing in an oven, but nobody quit. They all knew something special was happening, something that wouldn't come again.
Men and women standing, panic on their face, looking at each other what they should do. That were the secret police, dispersed among the extras, you know.
And I was sitting there thinking, good God, the army's going to come and we're all going to go to jail.
Amadeus was shot in Prague while Czechoslovakia was still under communist rule. For Forman, who had escaped that system years before, returning to film there was both emotional and risky. The streets still looked like 18th century Vienna, perfect for the story, but the government never stopped watching. Officials visited the set, checked the equipment, and stood nearby during scenes. The cast and crew knew they were being observed the entire time. For Forman, that pressure made the project even more meaningful. He was telling a story about freedom, about an artist trapped by power inside a country where creativity was still controlled. This was rebellion wrapped up in art. Some local actors were too scared to join, but Forman refused to back down. He said that if Mozart could face emperors, he could face bureaucrats. When you look at the film now, the irony feels pretty heavy. A movie about a genius under oppression was filmed under real censorship, and yet somehow every frame still sings with freedom. Antonio Salieri didn't kill Mozart. He didn't poison him or scheme against him. They were colleagues, sometimes even friendly, but gossip over the centuries twisted their relationship into something darker, and Amadeus made that myth immortal. Even today, people still think he was a jealous murderer who ended Mozart's life. The truth is gentler. He admired Mozart's gift. He even taught some of Mozart's students after his death. What's really fascinating is how the movie changed both of their legacies. Mozart, once seen as a historical figure, became a global star again. After the film's release, his music topped charts. In 1985, his albums sold more than Madonna's and Bruce Springsteen's. Suddenly, classical music was kinda cool again. Teenagers hummed symphonies, radio stations played concertos between pop songs.
My dear, I feel very defensive about it. I don't want to hear people put him down too easily. It was the music, if you take the time to listen, it's some really good stuff. But he was also, you see, I'm becoming defensive again. He was also extremely generous.
Salieri, the so-called villain, also got a second life. People rediscovered his real compositions. His operas returned to concert halls. The movie that cursed him also rescued him from oblivion. In a strange way, both men won. When Amadeus came out in 1984, nobody thought it would succeed. It was slow, it was quiet, it was long, just another period piece with no great big huge stars. Looking back, it makes sense. Amadeus isn't really about powdered wigs or old music. It's about the pain of wanting to be great and realizing you'll never reach the heights of someone touched by pure talent. Every artist, every dreamer, every person who's ever compared themselves to someone better sees just a little bit of themselves in this film. Genius outlasts envy, and Mozart's laughter, that's gonna echo through time.